Welcome to Screen Blast Repeat for a new feature on our YouTube channel. We've done many discography reviews on our website since its inception in 2020, focusing on the back catalogues of bands like Paradise Lost, Sepultura, Voivod, My Dying Bride, Death, and Prong. For our inaugural video feature, we're going to look at the discography of a contemporary band that often comes up as a counterpoint to the notion that there are no innovative metal artists in the post-Meshuggah era. We're talking about US prog metal quintet Periphery, who'll be under the spotlight for this video. Few bands were as influential and productive as Periphery in the last decade. The brainchild of YouTube guitarist and gear enthusiast Misha Mansour, the group exploded onto the scene in 2010 with their debut album helping to unleash a new subgenre within progressive metal known as djent. Whether this is simply a playing style or a legitimate genre, two things are notable. One, the word djent is a fucking ridiculous name for a genre. Two, this style of music ripped through most of the metal spectrum of the last decade, including metalcore, deathcore, and even death metal, as well as influencing a new generation of fusion bands with 7 and 8 string guitars. Originally upholders of Meshuggah's heaviness and mind-blowing polyrhythms with the chaotic complexity of the Dillinger Escape Plan, Periphery have moved far beyond their origins and carved out a sound that's recognizable in seconds and inspirational to bands as diverse as Spiritbox, Unprocessed, Loathe, Reflections, Novelists, and Red-Handed Denial. In this video, we'll look at the band's back catalogue and appraise their musical output up until 2023's Periphery V, djent is not a genre. So, first up in the band's discography is the self-titled debut album, released in 2010 via Roadrunner Records and Sumerian Records. Many were already aware of the band's sound for at least 3 years before the debut album finally arrived via Roadrunner Records. This is the record that started the djent boom and launched the careers of 1,000 bedroom guitarists. People forget this is also one of the heaviest albums in the history of metal, with its brutal Meshuggah sonics, Gojira grooves, and Dillinger Escape Plan complexity. Singer Spencer Sotelo got the gig 2 weeks before they were due to record after Misha fired Chris Barretto for being a diva. Opener, Insomnia, is a crunchy metallic slab of scale runs and low-end vocals, while The Walk is a lesson in polyrhythmic excellence. But at over 70 minutes, the album is too long. Closing track Racecar is 15 minutes in length, and the band ought to have saved it for another release with its endless brokerage of riffing. Some of the tracks also sound like a group of musicians who recorded the vocals as an afterthought. It's a relief when we get to the melodic respite of Jetpacks Was Yes, even if it dwells in standard metalcore introspection. But this is still a remarkable debut that continues to influence bands to this day. And we've not even mentioned the bewildering technicality of Zygo Rocks. Verdict: 8 out of 10. Next up is the first of 2 EPs the band have released in their career to date, and we're going to be looking at the 2011 release of the Icarus EP that came out via Sumerian Records. Why the band didn't release Racecar as the EP's lead song from the debut album is a mystery. Maybe a 15-minute track is just too long to begin an extended play record. Misha had plenty of material left over from the self-titled effort and wanted to put it to bed. Fair enough. New songs Frack the Gods and Captain On are good enough for the debut album with their crunchy riffs and off-kilter time signatures, but the highlight is the title track, which marries Led Zeppelin and Sixth with metalcore vocal histrionics to great effect. However, the 3 remixes of Icarus Lives are utterly superfluous. Verdict: 6 out of 10. Let's move on to 2012 for the band's sophomore album, Periphery 2, this time it's personal, released via Sumerian Records and Century Media. It's no secret that the debut was a virtual solo effort from Misha, yet on this record he opened the songwriting to all members of the band, with Mark Holcomb replacing Alex Boyce as third guitarist and Adam Nolly Getgood taking the bass slot vacated by Tom Murphy. This is where the band stepped out of the comfort zone of extreme metal and embraced post-hardcore pop, groove metal, and jazz fusion. Many reacted in horror to Spencer's dalliance with emo vocals, but that should not detract from the sheer imagination and complexity on show here. Make Total Destroy and Masamune are utter bruisers, while Have a Blast and Frog in Bowfish offer a unique metal interpretation of mathcore. This is a record that demands your attention and never allows it to waver. Scarlet and Ragnarok are staples of their live show to this day and will never sound tired. Few bands could write something as challenging yet so memorable as this prog masterpiece. Verdict? 9 out of 10. Next we have the Clear EP, released in 2014 via Sumerian Records and Century Media. Apart from Dream Theater, it's hard to think of a band where every member is capable of writing and producing their own song. That's what the group decided to do on this 7-track EP, and it proved an unmitigated success. Demonstrating the diverse influences of each musician, Clear treats us to prog metal, industrial, post-punk, tech death, and even a shade of nu metal. Behind it all is a common melody that all songs reference as their center point on each composition. Drummer Matt Halpern produces a fine rumble of bass-led metalcore in Feed the Ground, while Spencer's The Parade of Ashes packs a 9 Inch Nails punching anthemic chorus. And of course, no Periphery release would be complete without 7-string guitar virtuosity. Misha, Nolly and Mark Holcomb provide the gent fix for the faithful here. Verdict? 8 out of 10. Okay, we're moving on to 2015, and the only double album in the band's catalogue. We're of course talking about Juggernaut Alpha Omega, released via Sumerian Records and Century Media. Released as 2 separate albums 1 week apart, this is now recognised as a double album. And what a record! Spencer's vocals have full room to breathe as the band craft the metal equivalent of the Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, with a conceptual narrative like Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime. The riffs are as down-tuned and heavy as ever, with plenty of syncopation and mind-blowing drum patterns, but the difference here is the maturity of the songwriting. MK Ultra and Omega stay faithful to the band's original chaotic sound, but Alpha, 22 Faces, and Rainbow Gravity are anthems with arm-raising choruses. Like The Cure's Disintegration, the record defies logic and gets better and better with each song until the end. And what is not to like about a conceptual narrative that chronicles a child born into a satanic cult who grows up to be a reluctant killer? Arguably the best metal album of the 21st century and a new benchmark in production quality. You need to buy this LP. Verdict? 10 out of 10. Next is Periphery 3, Select Difficulty, released in 2016 via Sumerian Records and Century Media. After the stress of Juggernaut, the band wanted a more relaxed atmosphere to record an EP. What started as a congregation at Misha's house to rediscover their love of music and hang out like friends evolved into a productive month of arranging and composing enough songs for an album. The result is Periphery 3, a sprawling masterpiece of metallic fury and melody with choirs and synths coming to the fore. This is the record with the most textures and extensive colour palette, encompassing blast beats on The Price Is Wrong, gorgeous pop dynamics on Catch Fire and symphonics on Marigold. But fans have no reason to worry about the band's direction as they stomp through some of their heaviest songs on Habitual Line Stepper, Motormouth and Prayer Position before the poignant ending on 8-minute epic Loon. Spencer's vocal performance is magnificent in its variation and his lyrics more poetic than on any previous albums. This is the one Periphery record that grows with each listen. Verdict? 8 out of 10. We now move on to Periphery 4, Hail Stan, released in 2019 via the band's own record label, 3 Dot Recordings. The first album released on Periphery's own label following their departure from Sumerian Records, the band took a full year away from touring and concentrated on writing the best record possible. This time, Spencer Sotelo cements his position as a peer of Mike Patton and Devin Townsend with the finest vocal performance of the 2010s. You know a band are taking a risk when they open with a 16-minute track, but Reptile is a stunning execution of metal virtuosity and roller coaster emotions from righteous anger to sorrow. Fans will also welcome the band's berserk detour into extreme metal on Blood Eagle and Churchburner before settling into a King's X vibe on Garden in the Bones. This would be an easy 10 out of 10 if not for the inclusion of It's Only Smiles, a song that calls to mind the emo melodies of Fall Out Boy at their most annoying. It's a spectacular own go, but they're able to recover with the breakdown riff in Follow Your Ghost and the synth rock of Crush. but Closer Satellites is where the magic culminates in a zenith of melancholia and longing. These 11 minutes of balladry interspersed with heavy riffing showcase Spencer at his inhuman best and the band at their most poignant. At times brutal beyond belief, yet steeped in melody on other songs, Hail Stand is essential listening for all metalheads and lovers of progressive music. Verdict? 9 out of 10. And so we come to the last record in the band's catalogue, Periphery V, Gent is Not a Genre, released in 2023 via 3 Dot Recordings. 2 years in the making after the end of the COVID lockdowns, Periphery took the longest break of their career, most of it enforced, to work on album number 6. A lot had changed since Hail Stan. Spirit Box was sitting on top of the world, Gent was now a meme and a stick with which to bash young metal artists, contemporaries such as Haken had released 2 albums in this time, and legends like Between the Buried and Me, Meshuggah, and Gajira had all put out new records in the last 2 years. So how did Periphery want to present themselves in 2023? The scintillating metal frenzy of opener Wildfire suggests this is a band that want to take their extreme prog metal to new heights. Next single and follow-up song Atropos gives us an AI video of off-meter metallic chugging with mellifluous synths and a wide spectrum of vocal talents. Gent is Not a Genre has some majestic highlights, but its determination to prove that it can be a pop record and an electronic record and a tech metal record in one package backfires. The sequencing of the songs on this LP is clumsy. How can you follow a face-smashing metallic blaze like Everything Is Fine with a boy band number like Silhouette and the bland alternative rock saunter of Dying Star? As we said in our review at the time, make your mind up. Do you want to be the successors to Dillinger Escape Plan or the contemporaries of Bring Me the Horizon? 70% of this album is vintage Periphery. Dracul Gra and Zagreus could grace any of the classic albums. The guitar work is stupendous throughout, but we learn one important lesson about the band. They cannot write a pop song. More time listening to Faith No More and 12 Foot Ninja might help them improve in this arena, but one hopes Spencer will stop imposing the Backstreet Boys on the band's music on the next effort. A good record by Periphery is 10 times that of an excellent one by most artists, but a band needs to be more careful in their openness to reputational risk. Verdict? 7 out of 10. So, what do you think of this discography review? Were we too harsh on Periphery V? Is Juggernaut Alpha Omega the greatest metal album of the 21st century? Will we see a decline in the number of bands influenced by the Periphery sound over the next few years? Let us know in the comments. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and more importantly, please visit our website at www.screamblastrepeat.com for the latest album and EP reviews from established, up-and-coming, and unsigned artists in the worlds of experimental extreme metal, prog, and dark alternative.